What's up, First Thing First listeners? It's your boy Shay Sharp, co-host of FS1's Undisputed. I wanted to tell you about my new podcast, Club Shay Shay, where we always do something before two something. Each week, I sit down with a guest for a drink and conversation, and as host and proprietor of Club Shay Shay, I've welcomed in esteemed guests such as Snoop Dogg, Floyd Money Mayweather, LeVar Ball, Isaiah Thomas, just to mention a few. Whether I'm talking to an athlete, a musician, an actor, or a lifelong friend, Club Shay Shay is a place where people share inspiring and motivational stories about their journeys to prominence. The new episode drops every Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to Club Shay Shay now and make sure you never miss a new episode. Now, back to First Things First.
First things first, the Nets did something last night that might have surprised even themselves. They played a little defense. Nick is going to rank all the players taking the field on Sunday. Will he finally give Tom Brady his due respect? And joining us a little later on, how about this? Two very talented wide receivers, DeVonta Smith and CeeDee Lamb, going to join the conversation. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to First Things First. Jenna Wolfe, Nick Wright, Brandon Marshall, Kevin Wildes. Hey, Brandon, you going to go easy on these two young guys?
I don't think so. I don't think they would respect me if I did. No.
That's true.
Probably right. Well, we are gearing up for Super Bowl 55 as we start the morning. The Chiefs, for them, back on the big stage again. For Mahomes, it's quite a feat to be this good at this age. One of Mahomes' teammates, Le'Veon Bell, has only been with the Chiefs for a couple of months, but clearly has seen enough to determine that Patrick Mahomes, get this, could very well be the greatest player ever. Take a listen.
The great thing about Pat is I've never played against Pat. So I think his first year where he kind of like popped on the scene, I think I was sitting out. So I never played against Pat, but I've always watched him. I always thought he was like a great player. Then I came here, and then when I came here, that's when it like really hit me like, oh, like he might be the greatest player ever. Because the way he practiced, how he goes about his business. People see the throws and things that happen that he does in the game and things that's kind of like, I don't know, there's like an accident, but it's not. He practices it so much. Like, I wish y'all could see the throws he do in practice. It'd be unbelievable. But yeah, my idea of like, I thought he was about, I don't know, a 10 before I came here. And now I think he's probably like a 12.
I'm not sure how the rankings go, but Brandon, let me start with you, Brandon. Are people rushing to crown Mahomes the next GOAT?
No, the interesting part of the question is the next GOAT. So I don't think they're rushing. Someone has to hold the crown. Someone has to carry the torch. I don't even think it's a debate. When you look at, the Super Bowl era and his first 53 games, you got to consider that, this is the guy that's going to be the one that dethroned Brady possibly down the road. But there's a lot to consider there. You talk about injuries. You talk about keeping the band together. You also got to think about Andy Reid and coaching. Is Andy Reid going to be around like Belichick was around for 20 years with Bill Belichick? So let's look at the Super Bowl era. Let's look at his first 53 games. We're looking at wins. We're looking at passing yards. We're looking at TDs. We're looking at passer rating. These are the things that he holds, the records that he holds. So, Nick, I would have to say that he is the one that's in line that's going to carry the torch. You may argue that, after this next Super Bowl, he is the greatest. I think it's going to take a lot of work, but when you look at his numbers and when you look at how his teammates rave about him, how the defensive coordinators around the league rave about him, how all the talking heads on TV rave about him, he is the guy.
Yeah, none of it's hype. It's all real, but also no one is arguing, nobody has argued that if the world stopped today, Patrick Mahomes is the greatest quarterback ever. Now, folks will be able to argue in 4.5 days after the Chiefs win the Super Bowl that unquestionably Patrick Mahomes has had the greatest start to a career in American team sports history after he wins the Super Bowl on Sunday. Now, I said that once before, and I left out the word American, and little did I know, we have a lot of viewers in Brazil, and Pele fans got very mad at me, so I did my research. I'm like, okay, Pele probably has it for worldwide. But for American team sports, he would have the greatest start ever. But talking about could this guy, excuse me, pardon me, could this guy be the greatest in the history of his sport very early, Wilds, is not new. It's just new to football. Before Kareem Abdul-Jabbar changed his name, when he was still Lou Alcindor, in the spring of 1971, after his second year in the league, there were articles written that he's the greatest basketball player of all time. That was after he'd won a league MVP, a finals MVP, and a championship. Michael Jordan, before he played a single NBA game, here is what Bobby Knight said about him, and I quote, "I think he's the best athlete I've ever seen play basketball." He went on to say, quote, "He's the best basketball player I've ever seen," end quote. That was before the Bulls drafted him. So, and by about 1988, the consensus opinion surrounding Jordan was, oh, he's the most talented guy we've ever seen play the sport. He had 0 titles at the time. So it's not new to sports conversation. It's just new to a football conversation. So Wilds, no, I don't think people are rushing. And I think Brandon laid out very well. Every single checkpoint, Mahomes has exceeded what the wildest expectations could be. When he wins on Sunday, he'll have his second ring before his 10th loss. He'll have his second ring before his first 2-score loss. And because of that, I do think that this conversation's legitimate.
I do too. And Brandon, I'm going to put you on a spot in a second. You know what I thought was the most interesting part about Le'Veon Bell's comments? Of how nonchalant he was. I feel like the best compliments are usually just kind of quiet. It's just like, oh, that's a good wine. And it's just like the most expensive wine in the world. We were in Bristol when Kyrie Irving came on when he was in Duke. He had just declared for the draft. And I talked to Jay Williams. And I was like, oh man, this guy, you remember he's hurt a lot. I was like, is this guy like the real deal? And he's like, oh, he's very good. It was like quiet, but like you know when a guy is going to be great. It's just quiet. So I'm going to put it on to you because Le'Veon Bell wasn't talking about game film. He was talking about watching him in practice and just the eye test like a Malcolm Gladwell blink. So Brandon, this is where I'm going to put you on the spot. Have you ever watched a guy outside of a game and have him exceed your expectations wildly just because you're up close and you're like, oh, I'm around greatness? Besides your boxing career when you look in the mirror?
I just got goosebumps thinking about my answer, and that's Odell Beckham Jr. So I went from the Jets to the Giants.
Wow.
And we were in the weight room, and we were doing pull-ups. It was the off-season, and, you know, you hear the hype about this guy. I played against him a few times in a regular season game and a preseason game. And I saw this guy do amazing things, and obviously we saw him on Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football. So you saw how awesome he was. And it wasn't until we were in the weight room and he was doing pull-ups, and he dropped to the floor and almost like into like this Spider-Man position. I said, oh my goodness, this is the craziest body control I've ever seen. And I said, he is the greatest athlete I've ever been around. And then you go on the practice field and his work ethic and how he does things just totally different than everyone else. This was a guy that was fighting for a contract, and he was acting like he wasn't working and doing anything. We went out and ran like 2100s, and he was chilling in the back for like 40 yards. And myself and Sterling Shepard, we're all in the front just running as hard as we could. And then all of a sudden you see Odell just pass us. And I said, man, this dude is a freak. He's a different type of athlete. So that's my answer.
And Brandon, so I think what's important for Mahomes is everyone acknowledges, the most ardent Brady fans acknowledge, Mahomes is a better raw athlete than Brady. But the quarterback position is very small part raw athleticism and large part everything else. Leadership, clutch, confidence, toughness. And where the reason Mahomes can be in this discussion is we've seen him on the sideline. down 24-0 in a playoff game, down 10 points in the fourth quarter of a Super Bowl, calling the play, instilling the confidence. We saw him carted off the field with seemingly a devastating knee injury and come back 3 weeks later. We have seen the things that make Brady the GOAT. Though we're never out of it, my team always believes we can win because of me. We've seen that already with Patrick. And that's why it's not just, well, he's big, he's strong, he's fast.
That's a great point.
It's not just that. It's also all the things, Jenna. Thank you. All the things that go into being a great quarterback. Right.
Do you make your team better? Do you make your organization better? Look at Tom Brady in Tampa. Great point, Nick.
Yep.
As our colleague Eric Mangini always says, are you a true force multiplier on and off the field?
Oh, there we go.
Clear to see that Patrick Mahomes is. Yep, got that in there. Mangini. L. Bell may have Mahomes penned as the most important player on the field Sunday, but is he? Our guy Nick's got a pyramid. Our guy Nick is ranking top to bottom. It's next. First things first.
What? Another pyramid? Let's do it.
Another pyramid.
Hey, First Things First listeners. I wanted to tell you about our brand new Fox Sports app and website, foxsports.com, reimagined for the modern sports fan. Go ahead, download the new app right now. You don't even have to pause this episode. Every day on the new app and website, you'll see the top stories in sports. Plus, a rich world of written content, videos, social media, and analytics to give you a 360-degree view of the most important stories of the day. Streaming live TV has never been so easy or elegant. Every Fox Sports game, including all pregame and postgame shows, as well as the televised version of this show, just a click away. For the extra invested fan, we also go deep with real-time wagering lines, trending prop bets, win probability, and key player projections. So download the new Fox Sports app or visit www.foxsports.com. Speaking of the Super Bowl, we are just 4 days away, so we decided to have a little fun. We asked Nick to drop a pyramid of the most important players taking the field on Sunday, top to bottom. I barely got the words out, and Nick was like, done. See you tomorrow. So Nick, it's all you, buddy.
Is there a committee here to
reveal? There is no committee. This is all me. You guys might say, Nick, you're a little stressed out over the cannons thing. Well, that's because the producers for this show made me mad yesterday. They asked me to make this pyramid. I made this pyramid. It was a 14-tier, 105-player pyramid. Every single player was included that's active for the game, except for Chiefs punter Tommy Townsend, because he obviously won't see the field. They told me that's too much. So they restricted the 105-player pyramid to a 7-tier, 28-player pyramid. So I'd like to give you all 105. They told me I can't, so revealed the 28. They even told me I have to be quick on the first few rows. All right, fine. Very bottom row. Those are offensive, I don't want to say role players, but offensive guys that I don't think either team is leaning on. They have to have a huge game, but would love them to. The sixth row, same thing, but on the defensive side of the ball. Very good defensive players. You see rookie L'Jarius Sneed, Dirty Dan Sorensen on the right-hand side. You see the great inside linebackers for the Bucs in the middle. Role defensive players, good defensive players. Fifth row, guys that could make monster splash plays. I'm looking at you, Gronk. I'm looking at you, Sammy Watkins. You might say, Nick, is that a kicker in there? That is a kicker in there. Harrison Butker, but not for good reasons. Harrison Butker missed 6 extra points this year, missed another one in the playoffs. I don't want to hear Harrison Butker's name being brought up during this broadcast. It stresses me out. Now show me the 10 most important guys. Zoom in on it, if you will. This bottom row, Chris Jones, Shaq Barrett, Mike Evans, Tyrann Mathieu. If Shaq Barrett and Mike Evans have big games, the Bucs can win. If Chris Jones and Tyrann Mathieu have big games, the Chiefs can blow the Bucs out. They're fourth row. Third row, Kelsey, JPP, Hill. All 3 of these guys will make impact, potentially game-changing plays. JPP coming off the edge, Hill getting loose deep, Kelsey over the middle repeatedly. Then we get to our second row. Obviously, Tom Brady is one of the most important people in this game. You might say, who the hell is that next to Tom Brady? That is Mike Rimmers. He is now the Chiefs' starting left tackle. You might say, Mike Rimmers, where do I know that name from? Because he's replacing Eric Fisher. Okay, You know the name because Mike Rimmers played in the Super Bowl once before. It was Super Bowl 50. He was Cam Newton's right tackle, and Von Miller used that to get a Super Bowl MVP. 2 strip sacks courtesy of Von Miller on Mike Rimmers. That is the one and only thing that should be keeping the Chiefs up at night are those 2 plays right there. And then obviously the most important player in the game, Patrick Mahomes. So there's your player pyramid, Brandon. There was no committee, which means I would argue it's probably the most flawless pyramid we have. With respect to the committee, we're going to have to make some changes this offseason. This was just me, myself, and so we have a perfect pyramid. Your thoughts, Brandon Marshall?
Hey, listen, I was prepared to come on here and say, look, guys, our fans in Brazil, our fans around the country, like they want to be entertained. They want me to come on here. They want Wiles to come on here and push back. But you got this right. That's what I was prepared to say. But after you going through Mike Rimmers and how important of a piece he is, wouldn't we say he should be number 1, Nick? Right? Like, we know who Patrick Mahomes is. We know he's going to get the job done. But if he's not standing upright, and you got JPP and Shaq Barrett on the other side, then I would actually change my approach here, and I would petition to move Rimmers up to number 1. You know, I thought you did a great job here, and the reason why I thought you did a great job here was because most people are going to leave off offensive linemen. Most people are going to leave off the kickers. The last 10 Super Bowls, 6 out of them were decided by, 1 score. So the kickers are the most important pieces to this puzzle when it comes down to these games. So I would actually, if I'm being picky, maybe include Ryan Suckup. But I thought you nailed this. But, man, after your thoughts on Mike Rimmers, you may need to consider moving him up, buddy.
So a couple things. One is the reason Butker's on here and Suckup isn't is I think it's in play Bruce Arians has if we're inside the 30, we're going all 4 downs. I think it's possible that Arians and Leftwich and Brady's philosophy is no field goals, that we're not kicking field goals, and Suckup could be on the sideline for most of the game. If Rimmers is the most important person in the game, the Chiefs lose. That's the fact. If Mike Rimmers' name is said more than twice on the broadcast, it is a disaster for Kansas City. Now, what they do have, he has been starting for them for months at the right tackle position because of the injury to Mitchell Schwartz. But then when Fisher goes down, he slides to the left and Andrew Wiley takes over on the right-hand side. That is, Wilds, the spot that the Bucs are going to try to key in on. The Chiefs' banged up offensive line. And if you bring this damn Raven back, the Raven that's actually a parrot, if that is what you are holding on to right now, I'm going to be legitimately angry. I made a 105-player pyramid. On a bike. It took me 6 hours. What are you doing, Wiles?
I'm not. Fresh from the Raven's claw comes a new petition. Theo is back. Oh, Theo, good job.
Bravo, Mr. Wild.
All right. So here's my petition. I like the pyramid, but you think you're forgetting one person. And this person does not get a lot of attention. And I'm calling him the kidney of the whole Super Bowl. Why is the kidney? Because it doesn't get a lot of attention. But if it goes wrong, oh boy, you're in a lot of trouble. That person is Carlton Davis, and here's why. Number 1, this is why he's important. Number 1, aberration alert. He played pretty well all year. We know the Bucs defense is pretty good, but there was one aberration game. Tell me if you can find it. It wasn't week 1, wasn't Allen Robinson. That was all right. DeVonta Adams. Oh, there it is right there. Tyreek Hill. That one was a little bit rough. So that's the aberration game. Number 2, hey, you know what? He knows it. Second time's the charm. He knows that graphic. He's seen it. He's watched the film. Here's what he had to say leading up to the Super Bowl. Look, guys, it wasn't all me. Didn't work out the first game as far as what we did in our game plan, but we've corrected it. We've got a great game plan going in. Hey, I believe you. You know why? Guess what? It's not how you start. It's how you finish. First quarter, hey, how are we going to stop Tyreek Hill? I'll just man him up. That got pretty ugly. That got ugly quick. Scored 2 touchdowns, had 200 yards in one quarter. But the rest of the game, hey, pretty good. What, was it a shutdown Michael Thomas performance? Goose egg? No, but at least it looked like a normal football game and not a game of Madden against a child. So, Nick, I'm going to say that Carlton Davis, I'm not saying he's going to have a great game, but I'm saying he's important because if Tyreek Hill gets loose for 4 quarters, like he did the first quarter, we're looking at an 800-yard game from him. So I'm saying Carlton Davis deserves a spot on your pyramid.
This was very smart by Wildes because he knows how much I hate the Raven, so he decided to distract me from the Raven by having a take I hate even more. Carlton Davis has gotten more publicity on this show than the entirety of all media combined. Carlton Davis,
good.
nobody is talking about him. I sent you, Wildes, a preemptive strike against a bad, predictable Carlton Davis take. A PFF tweet that was very simple. It just said this: Carlton Davis in coverage this postseason. 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, a 140 passer rating allowed. And the reason that Tyreek Hill stopped annihilating the Bucs was because they started doubling him, and then Travis Kelce had a dozen catches over the middle the rest of that game. So no, Carlton Davis is nowhere on this pyramid. If we extended it 4 more rows, he wouldn't be on that either. Yeah, create the Carlton Davis billboard and put the Raven. The Raven, we got some bulletin board material for him too, Jenna.
You know who's nowhere near that pyramid, Nick? Jimmy G. Jimmy Garoppolo rumored to be out as the Niners quarterback. We spin the QB carousel once again. It's next. First things first. That was great, guys.
Hey, First Things First listeners. It's Charlotte Wilder here to tell you about my new podcast with Mark Titus called the People's Sports Podcast. It comes out every Thursday, and Mark and I take one of the big stories of the week, and then we go off on tangents you never saw coming. This might mean that we start talking about the Dodgers winning the World Series and end up wondering if Knicks fans deserve happiness. Or begin with LeBron's greatness and end up drafting our ultimate beer league softball team made up of old athletes. Whatever it is, the only rule of the show is that it has to be fun and funny, because these days we can all use as many laughs as we can get. So check it out wherever you get your podcasts and come down weird sports rabbit holes with us. We can't wait to have you. Now, back to First Things First.
Last year, the 49ers made the Super Bowl. This year, the question is, will Jimmy G be back under center next year? Both Deshaun Watson and Kirk Cousins have been rumored as potential fits. Hey, George Kittle weighed in yesterday. He said, quote, I still believe in Jimmy G. I think he's an incredible quarterback. I think he can lead us to another Super Bowl. I think we can win a Super Bowl with him. I'll keep dying on the sword because I think Jimmy G's a fantastic quarterback. He's got an amazing release, got a great arm, got a great touch. So happy to have Jimmy G back as my quarterback. If only we knew how George Kittle felt about Jimmy G. Brandon, can the San Francisco 49ers win a Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo?
I think they can. I mean, they almost did it, not too long ago, right? So I think they can, but I think it's more about Kyle Shanahan and less about Jimmy G. I believe in Kyle Shanahan. I would never go against him. He's the reason why I got drafted. I remember going on my visit and walking into the Texans locker room and Coach Shanahan being right there, and he's like, Brandon, we just took Eric Moulds. We have a first-round pick. We're not taking the first round. We have a third-round pick, and we're not going to take a receiver in the third round now. So let's just go watch film and talk. And we start building a relationship there. I walked out of the building, and then all of a sudden I get a call from the Denver Broncos, and I'm on a plane to Denver. Fast forward to April, and who selected me? His dad. So I'm never going against the Shanahans. Absolutely love what they've done for me on and off the field. But it's a question for Coach Shanahan. Do he want? Does he have the capacity? Do he want to go through another season where he has to get so creative and he has to really manage Jimmy G and figure out how to put him in the perfect spot, not only every game, but every drive? So it's a lot. Think about how they got to the Super Bowl last time. We were like, man, this Jimmy G, he went 9 for 12. He went 10 for 13. He only threw 16 passes. So that tells you a lot there, Nick. Nick, you're a resident GM. I don't know what you'll do here. Like, do you move on from him? Can you move on from him? But it's definitely an interesting discussion.
Yeah. Well, they can move on from him for nothing. His dead money is basically all gone from his contract, and his cap hit is very reasonable each of the next couple years, $26 million, $25 million, with essentially no dead money if they trade or cut him. So they clearly can move on from him, and they have been considering moving on from him from the moment he overthrew Emmanuel Sanders in the Super Bowl. And people are going to get upset with this opinion. Can you win a Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo? Unless you have a time machine, the answer to that is no. Could you have won a Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo? Yeah. The 2019 Niners could have, but moving forward, you can't. So why is that? Because that was a perfect storm team. You still had the great defensive tackle who you traded away, Buckner, to the Colts. You still had Robert Saleh. You had a better Richard Sherman. You had the best defense in football by a mile. I think you had a more competent Jimmy G. You had better weapons. And I think Shanahan is awesome. I also think his schematic advantage can ebb and flow a bit the more people see on him, the more people see on film. So he's got to build that back up. So right now, Wilds, the Niners go into the season with the worst quarterback in the division. To me, that's undeniable. Russ is better, Kyler's better, and Stafford's better. And you know what that gets you? Usually out of the playoffs. The 8 divisions last year, the worst quarterback finished 3rd or 4th in 7 of them. The only exception was the Bears. And how'd the postseason go for the Bears? They won 8 games and they got annihilated in the first round of the playoffs. Why? Because they couldn't move the football. So can you win the Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo? Not now. You had your chance. You had a 10-point lead with 7 minutes left in the 4th quarter, and you asked Jimmy to complete 1 pass, complete a 3rd down. Just keep a drive going. Nope, couldn't do it. Okay, now we're trailing. Complete 1 pass. We'll scheme a guy wide open for the game-winning touchdown. Sailed it over his head by 6 yards.
This is what bothers me. This is where I think Jimmy G gets a bad rap. Kyle Shanahan is taking the ball out of his hands, and Jimmy G has never said anything other than, okay, I'll win games. And then people take the stats and be like, look, he only completed 5 passes. Like, I don't know what got him to the Super Bowl. What do you want him to do? Change the play at the line so he can throw more passes? The guy's 22-8 in his 1 games. George Kittle likes him. Old Bill Belichick really likes him. So I think, Brandon, I'm not saying it's Deshaun Watson levels of get me out of here. But somewhere between Deshaun Watson levels, like, get me out of here, and Aaron Rodgers, like, man, I'm kind of flirting with leaving. Jimmy G should move more this way and just be like, you know what, Kyle Shanahan, I'm done with you. I'm done with you flirting with Tom Brady last year. I'm done hearing the Kirk Cousins stuff. I'm done hearing the shot. Like, I would like to leave. And you know what? I would like to go home. I would like to go home to the beauty of a New England winter. I would like to go home where after I beat the Patriots last year, I gave everybody big hugs. And Josh McDaniels says, I'll be in touch. Oh, indeed I would. Indeed I would. I think he should come back to New England. I think he should be a little bit more aggressively trying to get out because Kyle Shanahan is constantly flirting with other quarterbacks. Go ahead, Nick.
It's not going to be his choice.
Well, hold on, Brandon. Let me ask you a question to build off Wild's point. What would Jimmy Garoppolo look like without the advantage that is Kyle Shanahan?
Yes.
What would Jimmy Garoppolo have looked like this past year if he were in Stafford's position in Detroit with Matt Patricia and that team and that offense? So, I think I think the best thing that's ever happened to Jimmy Garoppolo is Kyle Shanahan, which is why he can deal with Shanahan flirting with other quarterbacks.
Well, I agree with you, but don't forget about little boy wonder over there, Josh McDaniels. He can dial it up too.
Thank you.
Outside of Kyle Shanahan, he's up there as well. It's 1A, 1B.
Sure.
And you take your pick. It depends on how you want to play it. But if I'm Jimmy G, to Nick's point, I'm staying there because Kyle Shanahan is next level when it comes to the creativity and really working into your skill set, getting outside the pocket. Just think about Stefanski and what they did with Baker Mayfield and Cleveland. That is what's happening in San Francisco. You go to New England, you don't have the skill players. You don't have the guys there that can get it done for you. So if I'm Jimmy G, I'm doing everything I can, Jenna, to stay my butt right there in the Bay Area.
And I just want to add, because I know what people say, he made the Super Bowl. Don't trick yourself by a guy participating in a Super Bowl. You know who did that? The Jacksonville Jaguars. Hey, Blake Bortles took us to the AFC Championship game. I guess we have to pass on Mahomes. We have to pass on Watson. We have to pass on all these quarterbacks. Why? And Mahomes, Watson aren't the draft I'm talking about, but you guys follow. We've got to double because we were a game away from the Super Bowl. If the fumble is called a fumble, we go to the Super Bowl, we beat the Patriots. Blake Bortles was just a passenger on that train. Jimmy Garoppolo is better than Blake Bortles, obviously, but don't trick yourself that just because a guy played in a game once, he can get you back to that game in the future.
Which is why that team flirted with Brady and why there are rumors this year that they may go out and try to get someone else. All right, time now for Nick's NBA medals. Dame and Brad Beal battling last night. Beal finished 37 in the loss. Dame had 32 in the win, but both just missed out on a medal. Nick, who did earn a medal?
We'll start with the bronze medalist, Kyrie Irving. Now listen, that's Jimmy Garoppolo. Bronze medalist, Kyrie Irving. 39, that's more Jimmy Garoppolo. 39 points, 23 shots. The Nets, unquestioned number one option each and every time down the court, delivered for them in their best win of the season. So Kyrie with the bronze medal.
Yeah.
Silver medalist, Steph Curry. 38, 11, and 8. In a tough loss to the Celtics. We usually try to only give medals to guys that win, but the Warriors were playing 4-on-5. In fact, they were playing 4-on-6, because if you watch this game last night, Kelly Oubre was actually playing for the Celtics. So considering they lost by 4 and it was a 4-on-6 game, Steph gets a silver. Gold medalist, most points by an undrafted player ever, breaking the seemingly unbreakable record of the great Moses Malone, who had 53 points 40 years ago. Fred VanVleet, 54 points, 11 three-pointers in a needed win for the Raptors over the Magic. Brandon, there they are. Your guy, Kyrie, everybody's guy, Steph, and newly minted Fred VanVleet.
Yeah, I mean, come on, this Kyrie thing, he's only having probably his best year ever. I'm going to say it now. MVP-like season. He could have at least got, you could put him at bronze, Nick. Come on, I mean, the silver over Steph. Steph lost the game. But I am cool with Fred VanVleet getting the gold because his story is amazing and it needs to be told. This is a guy that averaged 12 points his senior year at Wichita State. And now he goes undrafted. He works his way into a title. He has a ring. He signs a huge deal. And now he's dropping 54 points. So I'm cool with him sitting right there at top with gold. But Kyrie Irving, who's having an MVP-like season, should have been moved up one to the silver, Nick.
Wow. Take that, sir.
All right, well, all three have beards. Wilds, who just missed the cut?
Oh, Daniel Tice. This is very rare miss the cut because you're actually getting dunked on here. But Daniel Tice, Kelly Oubre literally dunks on his head. A lot of people say, I got dunked on your head. Literally, the ball bounces off his face. Rule of the NBA, if you get bumped in the face with a forearm or an elbow, you have to act like you got shot in World War II. Like, lay out. But if you get the ball bounced off your face on a dunk, you got to act like it never happened. It did not happen, but when you look at the trajectory of the ball, bingo, right off of his face. But great job by Daniel Tice keeping a straight face after the ball gets spaldinged off his dome.
That's great. We got to take a turn now talking crowns, as in, are we crowning Patrick Mahomes as the future GOAT? Just a few years too early. We'll have that for you next. First things first. You're talking some NBA Clippers and Nets last night in Brooklyn, and what a game. The Nets' big three combining for 90 points as they beat the Clippers. Clippers came in with the NBA's best record, by the way, but the Nets bounced back, play a little defense, get the win. Here's James Harden on how they did it.
Yeah, we're playing one of the hottest teams, one of the best teams that we have in this league, so we got to come out here and not embarrass ourselves, and we play like that, on both ends of the ball. I don't think as a team we have that same mindset every single game. And once we get that, you'll see a different Nets team.
The fact of the matter is they have some of the best ISO players in the world. It was a stretch there where we played great defense. We were in their face. And it was almost like each one of them took a turn making a shot. you know, they're just tough. They're tough to guard. They're super confident in their shot making ability. That, you know, defense, I thought couldn't be any better on some of those possessions.
Hey, Nick, let me start with you. Was last night more about the Nets win, though, or the Clippers loss?
Oh, it's more about the Nets win. And, Brandon, you should feel very good this morning. And listen, I don't even want to talk about the defensive side of the ball. I know you get sick of it, and that was a step in the right direction for the Nets. They almost held a team under 120 points. They were this close. They've only done that once post Harden's first game with the team. So it's baby steps defensively, right? But it's a great win for them because the Clippers are a far better version of themselves than they were last year. They've been a red hot team, and they were down double digits in the first half. They clawed back, they won, and the offense looked unstoppable. So you should feel good. I'm going to bring up 2 small points of concern just to watch, and you tell me if they resonate with you at all. But this is about the Nets. That was a big win after the Wizards lost. And neither have to do with defense.
Why can't we just leave it there?
Neither have to do with defense.
So why can't we just leave it there? Why do you want me to think about something? I don't.
It would be a short segment.
Why can't we leave it there?
No. Well, we could, but I want to bring these to you anyway. One is, I feel like Steve Nash is getting a little overexcited at times, and I don't think James Harden necessarily should be playing 43 minutes in regulation. That's a small thing. A bigger thing is this, and I just want to ask you this. Are you okay with Kevin Durant being the greatest third option in NBA history? Because last night, Kevin Durant was 11 of 13 with 0 assists.
Right.
He was brilliant. The reason he had 0 assists was because he had to shoot every time he got to touch the ball because he didn't very often get to touch the ball. And if you remove Kyrie's sabbatical, there have been 3 games all year where KD took more shots than anyone else on the team. I don't think that's ideal. They won anyway. They got a great win, a great bounce back win. I think the second best player in the league should not be your third option on offense. I think that needs to be recalibrated a bit, but it was a great win.
What about if the second greatest player in the league is okay with sacrificing to win another one? Like, that's what you're seeing here. These guys don't care about stats. They care about winning. They knew when they sat at the table and said, let's get this deal done, that there was going to be some sacrifice made. Someone had to sacrifice. And last night, Nick, was a preview of what we're going to see in the NBA Finals. Now, I know I said this week, you know, look, wake me up when March comes, and I still believe that. Like, these guys really don't play basketball until mid-March, the end of March. But when they do have these premier games is when you're going to see those guys step up. And those guys stepped up. They started off slow. It was scary for us. And I was like, oh, man, here's Nick again going to talk about defense and talk about the Nets and how this is going to be a disaster. And then they clawed their way back in it. And they also survived an amazing third quarter by Kawhi Leonard. So when you think about last night and you saw, Kevin, how they just played complimentary basketball and they took over in the fourth quarter, and you have to say that, man, this team is next level, and they've only done it together, 5-6 games? The Harden trade was 12 games ago? So this is amazing where this team is at in such a short period of time. That fourth quarter showed you, Nick, Kevin, that our offense is our defense.
Yeah, but it got a little dangerous. You're up 10 with under 2 minutes, and it still wasn't, in the bag. But I will give you this. Steve Nash, learning. I'll give you 3 reasons why at the end of the game, I thought Steve Nash did a better job than ever. Reason number 1, fouling up 3. This is the first time he's done it. Don't forget, they lost to the Cavs. We were like, oh, let Colin Sexton shoot a 3. He said, okay. Then they also lost to the Wizards. This is a nice little play. Like, oh, we're up 3 now? Boom. So Steve Nash has changed his end-of-game philosophy to now foul up 3. It's a good idea. Reason number 2, old Steve Nash using the old point guard skills, Brandon. He says, hey, guys, go to the end of the floor. Go to the end of the floor. Here's the thing, Steve Nash. You got to take a page out of, football coordinator's book. You got to cover your mouth so that everyone doesn't know what the play is. And the Clippers weren't paying attention because Steve Nash is literally calling the play that's about to happen. You guys don't notice it. Reason number 3. hey, Joe Harris, you don't get to inbound the ball anymore. Joe Harris like, I'll inbound it. I turned the ball over a few times. Harden's like, no, you know what? I'll do it. We're going to get left hand, Michael Vick style.
Joe
Bingo.
Harris?
All touchdown pass, get a foul here, seal the game, although they did have a 3 that could tie it or win it. So, Steve Nash, learning, getting smarter. Brooklyn Nets gelling as a squad.
Just now getting started. Just now getting started.
Hey guys, we got a couple of special guests joining us on the other side. Heisman winner DeVonta Smith and Cowboy star CeeDee Lamb. Two young wide receivers, which will make our veteran wide receiver, Brandon Marshall, very happy. It's next. First things first. Back here, First Things First, joining us now, Heisman winner, two-time national champion, one of the best receivers in the 2021 NFL draft class, DeVonta Smith. DeVonta, good morning. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. We really appreciate the time. Let's start by saying you are here on behalf of Auto Trader, the go-to resource when car shopping or buying with the largest selection of vehicles to search from. So, DeVonta, let's start there. Tell us about your partnership with Auto Trader.
Yes, like you said, Auto Trader is the go-to resource when car shopping. So with everything going on, me being so busy with training and rehabbing, Auto Trader makes things a lot easier for me just in the process of getting a car. And that's going to be my first big purchase once I turn pro.
Oh, dang, that was one of the questions I had for you. So first off, congratulations on being the first wide receiver in 30 years to win the Heisman Award. Amazing accomplishment. I go back to talking to you this summer. You know, we reached out to each other. We connected, and phenomenal conversation. The reason why I was impressed is because you wanted to talk to me. You wanted to talk to Ocho Cinco. You asked, how could I become a better pro? How can I be a better wide receiver? I didn't have much to give you because I felt like you could have taught me some things on the field, maybe extended my career if you're actually, my mentor. But, man, I just want to say congratulations. But I had 3 questions for you. One was on football. The second was on money. And the third was success. So in football, I want to ask you, what separates you from every other wide receiver out there?
I'll probably say my preparation, just starting from when I'm getting up 6 in the morning, getting my workout in, then getting treatment right after that, then eat my breakfast, then getting me some more rest right before I come back, probably at noon, eat again. Then I'm back in the film room before I go to the team meetings. Just all the preparation from taking care of my body to watching film.
Yeah, I love it. And that's one of those things that you're going to always have to lean into, man, because there's going to be so many distractions, right? Like, so many deals coming your way. There's going to be people that's going to be like, hey, I'm your cousin, long lost cousin. So for you to be able to stay focused is going to be key for you to continuing this amazing career that you started at Alabama. Second question for you, but Auto Trader already took the words out of my mouth. You took the words out of my mouth. I wanted to know what were you going to do with this money? You could potentially go number 2 overall, 3 overall, 4 overall in the draft, and I wanted to know what you were going to spend your money on. So you said the first thing you're going to buy is a car. Can you tell me what type of car? And third, can you tell me, is there a house in play? Anything else?
The type of car, I don't really know yet. Probably, I'm thinking a G-Wagon, but I ain't really decided yet. And then, of course, getting me somewhere to stay.
I love it. All right, before I pass it on to Nick, another question for you. 10 years from now, 15 years from now, what would you say a successful career would have been or looks like to you? What's your goals? What are you trying to accomplish?
Win a Super Bowl, main thing, that's the love of the game, just winning and everything that comes with it. So just winning the Super Bowl.
Love it.
G-Wagon's a great car, DeVonta. The rear seat doesn't have quite as much leg room as some of your teammates might need. So I just show you Auto Trader help you shop around. It looks great, though. It's an amazing vehicle. All right, let me ask you this. I'm sure going into the season, you had a lot of goals. I wonder if Heisman was actually on it. And I only say that because receivers don't win the Heisman. It was a decade before you were born. the last time a receiver won the Heisman. So I'm sure you wanted to win another national championship, wanted to solidify yourself first-round pick, those things. But were you going into the season even thinking I could win the Heisman with a monster year?
Honestly, no. I never thought about the Heisman. It was never something that I ever wrote on, something that I wanted to accomplish.
You caught passes at Alabama from possibly 3 starting NFL quarterbacks. If Mac Jones gets a starting job, which I think he could, Jalen probably could get the starting job back or win it from Carson Wentz, and of course Tua. What has that experience taught you, and how has it prepared you for life in the NFL? Maybe you'll be matched up with one of those guys, or maybe you'll get somebody new. What has been the consistent theme that has made you successful with all 3 quarterbacks?
Just being able to adapt to every one of them, knowing that each one of them were different and their play style was different. So just being able to adapt to them and getting comfortable with them.
Hey, DeVonta, it's safe to say you had the true Nick Saban experience. You were lucky enough to have a coach like that in college, and we only cover him and know him from, things we see on the sidelines, some stories we read. Give us some insight. Give us a Nick Saban story that would surprise us, that nobody really knows about, to give us the true essence of who he is.
He's a competitor. He thinks he can cover me. I don't know why he thinks that, but he always talk about how he can get on the island and knock me down. So just always been a competitor.
Okay, so if you want to go there, we can spice it up a little bit. So is there anyone in the National Football League that can cover you? What corners? You went there. You started it.
I mean, me just being me, I feel like no one can cover me. But I mean, it's some DBs out there that I'm looking forward to going against.
Okay, let me ask you another question. Wide receivers. A lot of people compare you to. Okay. Yeah, a lot of people compare you to, Ocho Cinco. I've even heard Isaac Bruce. Who have you modeled your game after?
Just really DeVonta Adams and Keenan Allen, just from their releases and their routes, just every little detail in the route. That's who I study a lot.
Ooh.
So I want to talk about wide receivers and other wide receivers as well, because we talked to Danny Amendola yesterday. He's 5'7", 5'8", and has had a hell of a career. Brandon Marshall's on the show every day. He's an NBA small forward. And you know what? It has had an amazing, arguably Hall of Fame career. You're right in the middle, right? You're not undersized, but you're not going to win a bunch of box outs style touchdowns the way Brandon was able to just kill guys in the red zone on. So you mentioned your release and your route running. You've already talked about preparation. But for a guy who isn't going to overpower people with size and strength, what is it about your particular game that has led to such high-level success and will lead to you potentially being a top 10 pick?
Just studying your opponent. You have to know the guy that you're going against, just what he like to do, what he's comfortable with, what he's uncomfortable with. So just studying the opponent and just knowing what he's uncomfortable with and just keeping him uncomfortable.
Ooh.
Hey, DeVonta, it's going to be an exciting couple of months for you. I want to wish you the best of luck, and thank you so much for hanging out with us this morning. Give us some insights and have fun. Enjoy this time before things get really I know, exactly. We got to take a break. We got CeeDee Lamb on the other side. Stay with us. Much more First Things First right after this. Brandon's impressed. On Saturday, the fight to survive heats up atop one of the nation's most exciting conference races. Number 19, Wisconsin, looking to stay in the Big Ten title mix against number 12, Illinois. It's Saturday, 2:30 Eastern on Fox and the Fox Sports app. We're going to bring another receiver into the conversation. Brandon, these are your guys now. This next receiver set all sorts of Cowboys rookie receiving records this season.
Oh, my goodness.
CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee, good morning. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Before Brandon gets to you, I do have to talk to you about Sleep Number. You are here on behalf of the company. Tell us about your partnership and the work you're doing with Sleep Number.
I love it.
Definitely coming together during the Super Bowl weekend, just get to really tell everyone or give everyone my story on my performances as far as how Sleep Number has helped me this year. And it helped me a lot, honestly. I felt like going into this year, my sleep and my performance has definitely been raised up a level, obviously because of hard work and dedication, but definitely sleep helped me a lot. Just, waking up, going to give me motivation for the next morning. And, man, I can't thank Sleep Number enough for all the things that they've done for me, just as far as helping me and then distributing me beds and then helping me help the country, just as far as helping everyone else get the same amount of sleep that I'm getting. And I feel like Sleep Number has definitely done a great job of just distributing beds and helping a lot of people.
I love it. We talk about sleep all the time on this show, see? First off, thanks for coming on the show. Absolutely love your game, man. You were impressive this year. But because we're talking about sleep right now, I got to dive into it. Tom Brady, I know I got to talk about you, but I want to go here first. Tom Brady, Nick is always making fun of Tom getting sleep. Tom is a guy to go to bed at around 8:30, 9 p.m. When do you go to sleep? And tell Nick how important it is to get your sleep. Please do that again.
Honestly, I get in bed around 10 and I'm normally sleep about 10:45. It doesn't really take me a long time just to get, situated and comfortable in my bed. I have an IQ number in my bed when it's time for me to go to sleep, I have it set on my IQ number is 45. So like my bed is kind of soft, but I can still, it adjusts to me, to my body. And then it feels great, honestly. I think it's underappreciated that the bed is full of air, honestly. And, you can set it to however you want. But, yeah, I get in the bed around 10. I'm asleep by like 10:45 due to the bed, obviously.
Love it.
Just comfortable.
All right, 74 catches, 935 yards, 5 TDs. Man, it was hard back in the day for a wide receiver go from college to the NFL ranks and actually perform and produce right off the bat. How did you do it, man? Like, did you think, that year one, were you overwhelmed at all? Or was it something like, man, this is the NFL? Are these the guys that I'm playing against?
Nah, it was definitely an overwhelming situation. Obviously, early on, not having a training camp or a normal off season as anyone else, but it's kind of if you wanted to play in the NFL, you got to make it a priority that you want to learn, and that I did this off season. I felt like I mentally and physically prepared myself enough, obviously, for my rookie year to just go in and be impactful, and I'm glad that I did that, and I'm glad that the Cowboys trusted me and my ability. Looking forward to being better next year, though.
All right, CeeDee, you obviously have had tremendous success at every level. You were an amazing high school player. You were dynamic at Oklahoma, and you almost had 1,000 yards as a rookie. What's interesting is you have not gone into a season with the same quarterback from the year before since high school. You had your high school quarterback. I apologize. I looked up his name, but now I can't find it. Then you had Baker. Then you had Kyler. Then you had Jalen. And I assume once you got to Dallas, you're like, okay, it's going to be me and Dak. And then Dak suffers that injury, and you have DiNucci and Dalton and back to Dalton. For you, how much better can you be once Dak gets back in the fold and there's someone that you can build a relationship with that's going to be more than one season? Because you've really never been able to do that your entire football career.
I think it would be a lot easier, obviously not really kind of having to start over every year, if you will. And as you said, I've definitely had to, readjust myself or adjust to my quarterback just about every year. Except I had about 2 years with Kyler. That was pretty good. I had 1 year with Baker and 1 year with Jalen. But having a consistent quarterback at any level, I feel like it would be helpful just on the receiver, and it doesn't really matter. But I think it's my job, or as a receiver, to make the quarterback feel comfortable and give him a reliable option. The NFL is a player's game. If the player feels comfortable, if a quarterback feels comfortable with his receiver, he's definitely going to give him the opportunity. And I want to be that safety valve for Dak, and I can't wait till he gets back and we get healthy and we get things rocking.
CeeDee, how do you think the media should be talking about the Cowboys prospects for next year? Because everybody was high on them this year. Nick had them you guys going to the Super Bowl. But then he started off and it was like, uh-oh, the season's in trouble. Let's stop talking about the Cowboys. Then you start piling up wins, win. We get to the end of the year like, hold on, are the Cowboys going to make the playoffs? We left them for dead. So how do you think the media should look at the Cowboys next year?
Just know that we playing with a chip on our shoulder. We knew what was at stake last year. We definitely had self-inflicted wounds. Some things that we couldn't control as far as the injuries. We're looking to go in the season just staying healthy, and we're gonna see how it play out, man. We know what we gotta do. We know everything that happened to us that was, not progressive, if you will, or we were taking steps backwards. And we always looking to keep a head forward and go get a championship. That's where our eyes are set.
Mike McCarthy took a lot of heat this year, and outsiders, and we talk about the noise. We really don't know what's going on, the day-to-day and what you guys are saying and talking about in those meetings. Is Mike McCarthy a guy that can lead you guys to a Super Bowl?
Yes, I strongly believe that. He's definitely done that in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers and his great team. And I definitely think he could do that for us. I feel like we come together. His first year, obviously, it wasn't as he wanted it to be. But, I mean, it's a new start for all of us. We all came in blinded, if you will, and then it's COVID season. And it was just a lot on everyone, not just Coach McCarthy, but I think he'd get a lot of heat for it, obviously, because, he's the man in charge and everything. So I feel like he's going to take the blame, and then we're just going to keep it moving until, we see better days. And then when the better days come, he can take all the glory for just as well as he took all the heat. It can all be glorious, if you will. And I can't wait till next year to rewrite that story.
Love it.
Obviously going to in first year, that wasn't the outcome. I mean, that wasn't really the plan, but you got to learn somehow.
All right, before we let you go, Kyler, Baker, Jalen, who wins the Super Bowl first?
Oh, man.
Yeah, I got to put you on the spot. I get paid to do this now, man. I get paid to do this.
Oh.
No. I don't know. Because that's NFC, AFC.
Right. So I guess you got to go Baker. Baker's in the AFC. Smart man.
Yeah.
I thought you got there.
Exactly.
You got to go Baker.
Maybe not.
We know his right. We know his answer.
I don't know.
Thanks so much for hanging out with us today. Want to wish you the best of luck for next season into the Dallas Cowboys. Much appreciated. Thank you. We're going to shift gears now. We got to get ourselves ready for Super Bowl 55 on Sunday. 10th time around the old block for Tom Brady. Chiefs head coach Andy Reid showing the utmost respect for the GOAT. He said this. He said there's just never enough points that you're going to be able to score against that guy. Hey, Brandon, do you believe Brady can go toe-to-toe with Mahomes if this Super Bowl turns into a shootout?
OMG. This is so disrespectful. Are we really going to have this conversation? It should be the other way around. This is the GOAT. Mahomes isn't the GOAT. We just talked about that earlier in our show, Nick. We just talked about, is it too early to crown this guy the next GOAT? And now we're going to turn around and say, can Brady go toe-to-toe with Mahomes, a guy who's going into his 10th Super Bowl? Please. Jenna, yes, absolutely. This dude has shown it time and time again that in the biggest moments, he can step up and lead his team. We saw it on the biggest stage in Super Bowl. We've seen it in regular season, down 20-something points, 2 quarters to go. And what happens? Lead his team to victory. We talked about Mahomes. Brady has that. Mahomes has that, where he makes everybody around him better, and he can get guys moving in the right direction when he needs to.
I agree with that. There are a lot of traits Mahomes has that Brady's learned from and emulated, like that leadership, getting guys on the same page. I think it's a great point. Listen, The key word in that question is shootout. And the question is, can the Bucs win a shootout? And my answer to that, Kevin Wildes, is that's the only game they can win. It has to be a shootout for them to have a chance, because the Chiefs are going to score, and here's the part of it that is going to make this Super Bowl potentially so great. The Chiefs are going to lead late. Let me show, I think, the most shocking graphic we've shown in relation to this Super Bowl yet. Patrick Mahomes in his career. The qualifier here is, are you ever tied or have the lead in the fourth quarter? Twice Mahomes has played a game where his team was not tied or had the lead in the fourth quarter. That's 51 out of 53 games, 96% of the time. Wildes, the last time Mahomes played a game where he trailed the entire fourth quarter was October 6th, 2019. It's now 2021. So the Bucs are not going to run away and hide. And the Bucs are not going to play that mythical game the Colts on October 6th, 2 years ago, did play. Ground control, hold the Chiefs to in the teens, win that way. Nope. You want to win, go score 38. That's the path. So if Brady can do it, they have a chance. But that's the only chance, is winning in a shootout. They're not going to win in a low-scoring affair. The Niners, Wildes, thought they did it. They had the Chiefs with 10 points with 6 minutes left. And the Chiefs finished the game with 31. The explosion's coming. The question is when.
Yeah, so I do think that the Bucs could play a little bit more ball control. If it starts to be a shootout, like, let's give Leonard Fournette the ball a few times. But Brandon, here's the thing. I think Bruce Arians is very savvy. I think he's very smart. I think he has a very high emotional EQ as well. Emotional quotient. There we go. EQ as well.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think he watched the Packers game and how the Packers lost. And he's saying, you know what? That's not going to happen to me. I am not going to do this against Kansas City. I'm going to be super aggressive. And if that was me on the other side of the ball, I'm going to give the ball to Tom Brady. I'm never going to give the ball back to Patrick Mahomes and let it be this. I'm going to go down with my guy. I am not going to pull a Matt LaFleur and punt and say like, oh, maybe our defense can hold him. I think it's the wrong decision. I think Bruce Arians is learning from his own games and deciding to be super aggressive.
Yeah, I mean, that's all he has to do is go back to week 12, disagrees. And it's the tale of two different halves, right? When you look at the first half, you know, the Chiefs could have done anything they wanted. If it wasn't for a few mishaps, you know, in the red zone, there was missed field goals by your boy that you talked about earlier, Nick. And I don't think that happens again. The best way for this team to move forward in this game is to play soft coverage, zone coverage, on the defensive side, and don't go out and try to play man again. You had Tyreek Hill went for 200 yards in the first quarter, something like that. That's ridiculous. And then on the offensive side, is Tom Brady capable, Nick, of going out there and throwing it for 350 yards, 3-4 touchdowns? Absolutely. But I don't think that's the game you want to be in. I think the game you want to be in is leaning on Leonard Fournette. That's why you made the face when I said it. Leonard Fournette's going to be my unsung hero. He could potentially be the MVP, because that's the type of game it needs to be if you want to control Mahomes and that Kansas City offense and slow them down. You got to be willing to hand the ball off on first down, second down, and third and short. You have to be able to do that and take your shots late.
So I just want to make sure I have this right, because we're now getting into it. You know, it's the end of the show Wednesday. We got a couple shows left for the Super Bowl. You think the Bucs' best path to victory is, and this isn't a shot at Brady, but is essentially taking the game out of his hands and leaning on the running game? You think that should be the Bucs' approach to try to keep this game, to where neither team scores 30? Like to keep this game in the 20s?
Yeah. It has nothing to do with Brady. It has what's on the other side of that ball. So defensively, let's start there. I think you rush forward. You lean on JPP and Shaq Barrett. That's what you do. Play zone. Don't go out there and play man-to-man. And offensively, Nick, 100%. I think you hand the ball off, you play ball control, and you take your shots. You've established the deep ball the last couple games. You've established some explosive plays on the offensive side. But you don't need to go out there drive after drive after drive to try to keep up with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. That's idiotic. You don't do that. Last game, Tom Brady could have threw 4 picks. He was just throwing the ball up. The guys were they weren't coming down with it. So I don't like that game plan for Bruce Arians and Tom Brady to go out there and just throw the ball all over the place. No.
Well, listen, and this will make the next couple days really fun. Wilds, I vehemently disagree with Brandon. I think the Bucs have to open themselves up to getting blown out in order to have a chance to win.
Yeah.
I think the Bucs have to play a super high variance game, take their shots, hope that Brady doesn't throw a lot of 50-50 balls, and the balls he does throw, the Bucs come down with. Listen, defensively, you can't have Carlton Davis on an island. But I do not think, Brandon, you can look to the second half of Week 12 as a blueprint, because the Chiefs have shown all year, once they get up 3 scores, they shift down. And so I don't think that will be the Chiefs' approach. So I think to win this game, you're going to have to score a minimum of 35 points if you're Tampa. And so I can be wrong, Brandon, but Wilds, I think they have to be go, go, go if they're going to have a chance to win this football game. I do.
Yeah, the shorter version is no risk it, no biscuit. So he's going to get the biscuits. It's
been that way the whole season. There you go. We got to go. Much more on this coming up on Undisputed. See you tomorrow, everyone.